Admiral Voss of the Galactic Confederation stood on the observation deck of his flagship, staring down at the blue-green planet below with undisguised contempt. Earth, a primitive backwater on the fringes of explored space, barely worth the fuel it had taken to reach it. Yet protocol demanded that all newly discovered spacefaring civilizations receive a formal assessment before potential inclusion in the Confederation. Primitive propulsion systems, limited orbital presence, and weapons technology that hasn't progressed beyond basic fission and chemical explosives, Lieutenant Drell reported, scrolling through the sensor data. Their most advanced military technology appears to be something they call kinetic bombardment, essentially just dropping metal rods from orbit. Voss snorted. They're throwing sticks and stones while we command the fundamental forces of the universe. Record the assessment as technologically immature with minimal defensive capability. Recommend observation status only. Commander Trell, his tactical officer, frowned at her console. Sir, they've detected us. Their communication channels are buzzing, and their military forces are mobilizing. Expected, Voss said dismissively. Send the standard greeting and explain our presence. Then deploy a small demonstration of our defensive capabilities. Nothing too showy. The demonstration, a brief manipulation of their ship's gravitational field that caused localized aurora displays, was meant to impress the Earthlings with the Confederation's technological superiority. Instead, it triggered an unexpected response. Admiral, they're requesting a meeting, Trell reported, sounding puzzled. Their military leadership wishes to discuss peaceful relations but also wants to demonstrate their own defense technologies. Voss laughed. How quaint. Very well, I could use the amusement. Accept the invitation. General Marcus Reynolds stood ramrod straight as the alien delegation materialized on the secure platform at Joint Base Andrews. Despite decades of SCTIing and speculation, humanity's first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence had come not with philosophical discussions, but with military posturing. Welcome to Earth, Reynolds said, extending no hand but offering a formal nod. I'm authorized to speak on behalf of the United Earth Defense Coalition. Admiral Voss, nearly 7 feet tall with iridescent blue skin and 4 arms, returned the gesture with visible condescension. Your world is of little strategic importance, General, but Confederation protocols require assessment of all potentially spacefaring species. Then I propose a mutual assessment, Reynolds replied evenly. You've scanned our planet and demonstrated your capabilities. Now allow us to demonstrate ours. Voss's mouth tentacles twitched in what Reynolds assumed was amusement. Very well, though I doubt your projectile weapons will impress those who can manipulate quantum fields. Reynolds led the delegation to a nearby airfield where a standard transport aircraft waited. We've prepared a demonstration at our Pacific test range. It's several thousand miles from here, a modest distance by your standards, I'm sure. During the flight, Voss and his officers made little effort to hide their disdain for the aircraft's primitive combustion engines and inefficient aerodynamics. Reynolds simply nodded and let them talk. 6 hours later, aboard a naval vessel in international waters, Reynolds guided the aliens to the observation deck. Several screens displayed satellite feeds and targeting data. What we're about to demonstrate isn't our most advanced technology, Reynolds explained, but it should provide context for how we approach defense. Voss settled into a specially reinforced chair. By all means, General. Show us these kinetic weapons our scans detected. Reynolds nodded to his communications officer. Commence Operation Thunderfall. Initially, nothing happened. The aliens exchanged glances that clearly communicated their growing boredom. Then one of the screens showed a small bright flare in low orbit. What you're seeing is a standard orbital platform deploying a single tungsten rod, Reynolds explained. It masses approximately 12 tons and is falling toward a decommissioned vessel 100 miles from our position. Voss yawned theatrically, his forearms stretching. Gravity-assisted weapons? Truly primitive. Not quite, Reynolds said calmly. The rod is accelerated using electromagnetic fields and precision-guided. It will impact with the kinetic energy equivalent of approximately 120 tons of TNT, without any explosive material whatsoever. The aliens watched with growing interest as the camera tracked the rod's descent. When it struck the decommissioned destroyer, the impact was both spectacular and terrifying. The vessel simply ceased to exist, replaced by a massive plume of vaporized metal and water. Impressive for such simple technology, Voss admitted reluctantly, though hardly a threat to our shielding systems. Reynolds nodded. That was a demonstration of what we call conventional kinetics. Now, with your permission, we'll demonstrate our defensive response to orbital threats. Before Voss could respond, alarms sounded on his personal device. His tactical officer looked suddenly concerned. Admiral, we're detecting multiple launches from land-based silos and submarine platforms. Hundreds of them. Is this treachery? Voss demanded, rising to his full height. Not at all, Reynolds replied calmly. Those missiles contain no warheads. They're interceptors designed to neutralize orbital threats by creating kinetic debris fields. We're deliberately firing them away from your vessels, but within sensor range. The screen showed the missiles detonating at precise coordinates, creating expanding clouds of hypersonic metal fragments in low Earth orbit, a defensive screen that would shroud any approaching vessel. You've weaponized orbital debris, Voss whispered, his contempt replaced by dawning comprehension. A civilization that can't yet manipulate gravity has instead weaponized the very environment of space itself. Reynolds nodded. We work with what we have, Admiral. Humanity might lack your technological sophistication, but we understand asymmetric warfare. We don't need to match your capabilities. We just need to make any hostile action prohibitively costly. Voss was silent for a long moment. Then, to Reynolds' surprise, the alien executed what appeared to be a formal military salute. General, I believe my initial assessment requires revision, he said. Your species may lack advanced technology, but you possess something equally valuable, tactical innovation. The Confederation would benefit from such thinking. Reynolds allowed himself a small smile. Then perhaps we should discuss more peaceful applications of our respective technologies, Admiral. Indeed, Voss agreed, his earlier arrogance noticeably diminished. It seems humanity has much to teach us after all.